Hi, my name is Leandro Facchinetti and let's write some code together, shall we? What we have on the menu today is this app I'm developing that allows you to draw on top of your screen. So if you have one of these tablets and you are doing a live stream, or you are an educator and you are teaching and you maybe have a meeting over Zoom and you want to draw on top of your screen to demonstrate something, that's something that Notestrator, this app that I'm developing, will allow you to do. And what we're going to do today is to explore a crazy idea and to continue styling the menu if time permits. So the crazy idea is this. I'm going to show you what the app looks like right now. So this is what the app looks like right now. This part has been styled, but everything down here, as you can tell, has not been styled. But you can draw on top of your screen. That's what the app does. The crazy idea is, hi Felipe, it's good to have you here. I think you're going to enjoy this one. It's going to be interesting. So what we're going to do today is just explore this crazy idea. The crazy idea is, what if instead of drawing on top of your screen, what you want to do is to draw on top of your stream, an OBS stream. So as you can tell, I am drawing on top of my computer screen. So as I draw under my face, the drawing is below my face. That's because I'm using OBS to composite this scene. So I have my computer screen as one of the input sources, and I am drawing literally on top of the screen. If I show you my computer, you will see the drawing on top of what I see on the computer. My idea is, what if we can use the exact same drawing engine, the exact same menu and everything? So we are going to reuse most of the logic, but what if we can draw on top of an OBS stream? That could be useful because if I draw that way, I would be drawing on top of my face, not below it. It would be a layer on top of everything. And it can be useful if you have multiple sources, or if you are annotating the video source itself. So imagine that maybe you have a scenario like this and you are teaching mathematics. You could draw equations around your face, which is a style that stand-up mathematics and Matt Parker does videos like that. And I don't think he streams videos like that, and he's not drawing. He has some rendered graphics, but that's his style. He's in front of a black backdrop and he's drawing around his face, and he can interact with the graphics. He can point at things, he can move things around. What if we could do that with Notestrator? So what if we could draw on top of a stream? Maybe that already exists, but I couldn't really find it. When I looked for it, one of the sources I found was super interesting. The idea was that you would have maybe a Microsoft Paint or some other drawing app with a green background, and then you would draw. And then you would, in OBS or your compositing software, you would take that window and you would do some chroma key to remove the green. So it's similar to a green screen, but it is on the computer, which is kind of crazy. It kind of works, but it's not ideal. First, because you cannot draw with the color green, but also, and more importantly, because you don't see what you're drawing on top of. So you would not see the camera stream when you're drawing. You only see the green backdrop. So it's hard to tell if you're drawing before you start drawing. It's hard to tell if you are going to draw in this area or on top of your own face. So let's see how this would work. The architecture goes like this. You know what? Here's an idea. I could use Notestrator to draw a quick architecture diagram. Let's see if my drawing tablet has any battery in it. Yeah. So the architecture goes like this. Let me push the computer aside. The architecture goes like this. That's my idea anyway. So you have your OBS running over here and Notestrator over there. What I want is to get a feed with the image from OBS into Notestrator. And in this case, it will not be a transparent drawing window on top of your computer screen. It will be a dedicated window with a frame and everything. And that is the preview image. Which is the OBS feed. And then you would draw. You would draw on a window, so there will be a drawing window. So I guess Notestrator drawing window. When I was a lecturer, I received feedback that I should never do this. So I thought that my battery was low on this device, on my tablet. So I received feedback that I should never draw on my lectures because I'm so bad at it. So that is the drawing window. And then there will be a Notestrator browser source. And the drawing is synced between these two windows. So this is the window where you draw, and this is a browser source, which is just a browser tab. You can imagine this as a browser tab, but it's a browser tab from within OBS. So in OBS, I'm drawing behind my face. That's excellent. Let me draw an arrow over here. So you put this as a browser source, which is something you can do in OBS. You can add a browser source. It's like a camera and it's like a computer screen or whatever, but it opens with a browser tab and it's transparent. So we keep the drawing in sync, and over here you will see the preview coming from OBS, so you see your own face. But on this browser source window, the background is transparent. And the drawing is kept in sync, and the resolution needs to match and everything. So there will be some work here to make sure that these two are in sync. And then your browser source will be overlaid on top of your other sources in OBS, and you'll be able to draw on top of your OBS stream. So even if you switch to different scenes and everything, the drawing can remain on top of everything. So we are going to use the same drawing engine and everything, but we are going to apply it in a completely different way. That's the idea, that's the architecture. And I think that this holds water. I think it's possible to do this. So let's think about how we want to do this. We want to do this in a particular order, I suppose. So to get the preview window from OBS is relatively straightforward. We can do that using an extension for OBS called OBS WebSockets. I have worked with this before, and I have actually built a web interface that has a preview window, so I know how to do this. I did this before. Now, for the sync, that is probably complicated. And then there is the other question: how does OBS get this browser source? So we'll have to have a web server that will serve this window. So the connection between OBS and Notestrator for the drawing window will be using WebSockets. There is this project. It's an extension for OBS called OBS WebSocket, and that's what we're going to use for this part. And then for this part, we'll have a web server in our Notestrator app. So it's a desktop app, but it's also a web server. And we'll be listening on a specific port. And then in OBS, you'll be able to say, I want a new source that is this guy over here. And then you will put that, it will act as a web page, like google.com or whatever. So that is the idea. How do I want to start? Well, I already know how to do the OBS WebSockets part. So how about we start with the web server? So we'll have a mock drawing and I will do a web server and I will connect OBS to that. And then we do the sync of the drawing. So we'll do this first, this second, and this third, because this is relatively straightforward to do. Though this is super important. This is the part that really differentiates this from paint with a green background. But yeah, let's start with the web server. That will be fun. So I'm now going to get rid of my whole diagram, but we know what it is. And let's start a web server. So to do that, I guess I'm going to use Express, which is my go-to for web servers. And so when you start the app, there are these windows that show up, but now there will also be an Express server. And I guess this is kind of important, so I'll put the require on top. So now the question is, can I start an Express web server from within an Electron app? I think I can, but I don't know. So let's see. How do I want to name this? Usually it's called app, but usually you call Express like this and you call this thing app. But this time it's not really the app, it's what is it called in OBS? So I am running OBS on this machine. That's what is sending the video to the streaming machine. So I suppose I can try to add a source, and it is a browser source. Yeah, that's what it's called. Are there other options here? No, so we are going with a browser source. And do I want this to be like specific to OBS? Well, the way that we are connecting to get the preview image is kind of specific. So we could say that this is specific to OBS. I mean, in theory, if you could get a preview from XSplit, from whatever, from other streaming apps, if you could get that feed, then it would work. But we are going to do the preview side, so getting the stream image to put as the background when you're drawing, that is going to be specific to OBS WebSockets. So I guess I will call this this feature will be OBS specific, at least to begin with. So this will be the OBS browser source. And then an OBS browser source will get at slash, and I will get my request and response, and I will just send some HTML, and I guess I will do the same extract inline styles that I'm doing in my other HTML. And if you want to learn more about this, I have, I guess, from 2-3 streams ago, I introduced this idea. But it's rather simple, actually. It is just going to process the inline styles and pull them out. And this allows you to have inline styles with things like media queries, which is not something that you usually can do. So I'm giving this a title, but I'm not sure that the title means anything. When you add a browser source to OBS, I don't know what the title means. I'm just going to keep with that. We'll see if this is necessary. And then in the body, let's just have an SVG that is like a circle at 10, or maybe like 100, with a radius of 50, and we need to start so I guess I will rename this to OBS browser source app, because I will also have an OBS browser source server going on. Oh, I cannot rename this. Okay. It seems like I have some error in my JavaScript. I mean, like a syntax error somewhere, because Visual Studio Code is complaining. Unterminated template literal. Well, is it? I mean, it's terminating right here. I have a syntax error. That's unfortunate. Oh, but I still have a syntax error. Where is the syntax error? What? Really? Oh, okay. So I wanted to have an autocomplete for this part, so I changed the mode of the document to HTML. So I need to change it back to JavaScript. That's what it is. Now I can say const OBS browser source server, and that will be OBS browser source app listen. We'll listen on a fixed port. So how about we start a different instance of OBS, because I don't want to blow up things on my stream. So I'll just open application new, I think that's how you say it, and then I have to say applications OBS. Unable to find an application named in. Okay, let me see, how do I open a different instance of OBS? Application new. I mean, didn't I get it right? Oh, it needs to be in the other order. So it needs to be open a new application, OBS. Launch anyway. Now I will have two different instances running. One is the instance that is actually doing the stream, and in the other instance, since I'm going to play around with things, I will create a different profile called remove me. I don't need to do the auto configuration wizard, and I will also have a different scene collection called remove. So this way I am sure that I'm not making the stream go bad in any way, I don't think. And do I have OBS WebSockets installed? I don't seem to have OBS WebSockets installed. So let me go real quick to the command line and brew install OBS WebSockets. Or is it WebSocket? It will complain if I get it wrong. Homebrew is going to update. Okay, that will take a while, but while it's doing that, I would like to know the default port in which this is running. I mean, in which OBS WebSockets is running, so that I can use a similar port. But I think I have OBS WebSockets here on the streaming machine, so I can check that. It runs on port 4444. So I guess I will go 4445 for this. And yeah, I got it wrong. It was OBS WebSocket. Here it is. And I guess I will have to close this OBS instance and reopen it for OBS WebSocket to pick up. It looks like it's the first time you're running OBS WebSocket. Do you want to configure a password? Yes. So we'll enable it, but we'll not have a password. And system tray alerts, I don't like those. And it will be running the default port. So now we have a OBS WebSocket going on there, but we don't need it right now. So let me start this Electron app and see if I can use it, a regular browser. I'm not even gonna touch the OBS stuff, and see if I can open the server, the page there. So let's see if I create a new browser tab and go to localhost 4445. I see a circle over here, and that is the thing that I want to open in OBS. So now I will do that in OBS and we'll see what it looks like. Unfortunately, I cannot use keyboard shortcuts to do that, so I will have to maybe not do the Electron part of the app, because that opens a window that blocks everything. So for the time being, I'm going to comment out the whole app like this. Oh, this is the instance that is actually streaming. So let me go to the other one, and then I will add a scene, just so we have something to prove that I'm drawing on top of the screen as I'm promising. So what can I open here? Maybe a video capture device. That will be my webcam. Now you can see what this actually looks like in the room. That's terrible. Okay, so I have a source over here. Let me make that full screen, and I will have another source. I mean, it's so different. Look at this. Look at this over here in the corner and the webcam. It's not too glamorous. Create a browser, make source visible, and that will be not a local file. Could it be a local file? No, I think it's better if I have this as something that goes over the network. So it will be localhost 4445, custom CSS. I don't think I need this. Let's just go with the defaults. Use custom frame rate, control audio via OBS. No, that's all okay. So there you go. I'm able to put the drawing that is sent from... I'm getting distracted by my own image in so low quality. So we are getting an image that is coming from our Electron app via Express into OBS. That's great. So now all we have to do is the syncing, and the drawing itself. Yeah, the syncing and the drawing itself. Well, I guess we also need a way to update the drawing. So that's something else. We need a sync between the drawing window and the browser source, but we also need to update the browser source when we have something else in the drawing, right? So here's an idea. We could start with this syncing, and we could use a WebSocket between this browser source in OBS and our Express server, but I decided that WebSockets are not necessary for this when I was thinking this out. Instead, what we're going to use is just an event source, which is something for this technology called server-sent events, which is a lightweight WebSockets. If you don't know what server-sent events, but you do know what WebSockets are, you can think of them as like lightweight WebSockets. It's just a different way of communicating between server and client in a way that the connection isn't initiated by the client, it's initiated by the server. And there are some drawbacks, but for our application, an event source will suffice. And I think that this title is not being used anywhere. And I don't think it's relevant, like there's no option here. Shut down source when not visible, refresh browser when scene becomes active, refresh cache of current page. Is this custom CSS necessary? I don't think it is. Yeah, it is not. I can interact with that. That is kind of cool. Oh, okay. It would be nice to be able to interact with this and draw here, maybe. But then the problem is that I would need to send the image from OBS to here anyway. So I think it's better to have a dedicated window in the Notestrator part of the app. But yeah, the title is relevant, so I'll not have a title. But I will need an event source. Yeah, so I'll put a script tag here real quick and start writing this. So my event source. So this is an API that comes with the browser. I can just use it like this, and I just need to pass the URL that I'm going to find this event source at. So I guess I could say like maybe that slash event source like this. And right now, if I do this, do I have the app running? Yes, I do. So I can restart the app and with the browser go to this URL. And I can see the event source variable. It is connected to the event source, but I don't think it really connected successfully. But it went to the right place, so that's all good. So now we'll have maybe a global variable over here with event sources, maybe OBS, browser. Oh, I guess we can attach stuff to the browser app, so we don't need to have this as a global variable. Yeah, we just attach information to this to the app. So now let's do. Let's make the event source work. The way that this works is that the browser starts by sending a GET to this URL, and then I'll have to look up the docs for this. I don't remember, but we have to send a header with a specific in a specific way. So this is the client side. We'll have to refer to that in a moment. Well, since I found the documentation for this, let me go ahead and write this. So how about we do event source, add event listener, and then I'll call this event update. We'll have an event that will be sent by the server. It will be called update. There will be an event. And in here, we will say maybe document get query selector of body inner HTML is equal to the event data, which is more or less what is happening here. So the server will send a new SVG, and we'll just swap it in place. Yeah, looks good to me. Now let's see what we have to do on the server side. Oh, no docs about this over here. Okay. Server sent events. You can tell that I have been here before. Come on, there is a tutorial about this. Where is it? Maybe here. There you go. Here it is. And this is the language that we have to speak on the server. So right as the request comes in, this first request, normally what you would do in a web application is you would say like send something, and that sends the information and closes the connection, or you would just end the connection. But we're not going to do that. We are going to write, which outputs something, but it doesn't close the connection. And what we are going to write is nothing. We just want to send the headers. We just want to make sure that we start sending something, and just by doing this write with nothing, Express will flush the headers. So we want to send a header which is the content type, and we need to say that this is the content type. So when you connect to this, it never answers. It just keeps the connection open. It's a keep alive connection. And we are going to keep track of this as a global variable. So we are going to have an open OBS browser source app, and we can have our locals is a place where we can attach our own stuff. So we are going to attach the event source, and that is going to be our response. So with this design, there will only ever be one connection, which I guess makes sense. You're controlling one OBS instance. So that's what this is. And that is it. The connection is established. The client knows about the server. The server knows about the client and remembers the client. So what do we do next? Well, we need to send some events to update the SVG. But how about we prototype something real quick? I mean, ideally we would be sending the drawing, but we don't have that part yet. So let's do something else. We will just set interval. It's going to be a hack, but every second we are going to send one of these events. So we are going to say a res, or not res, it's in scope here, but from the places where we will want to send this event, it will not be in scope. So let's do it the right way. So we'll have that, and we'll have to write, and the event, let's do it like this. So the event will be update, and then we need a new line. The data will be, we need to encode this somehow. How about we just start some HTML here. And because this is like a hack, I'm going to just do something like this. So we'll have a circle that moves from left to right to prove that the event handler is doing its thing, that we are connecting the sources correctly. So every time you run the set interval, I will increment this by like 10. So you'll be able to see it moving from left to right. But we need to encode this data because the new lines and everything need to be treated specially. So how is the encoding for that? I forget. Oh, and we will need to send new line. That's what actually fires the event. So we'll need that. Error handling, closing, event string format. Event. Okay, data. I guess what we need to do is just have multiple lines that start with data. So what we are going to do is we will take this HTML, we will replace every occurrence of a new line globally with new line data like that. I think that's going to work. Yeah, we'll see. We'll try this. Are we ready to try? Is there something else I know that I need? Yeah, no, not really. So I guess we can restart the Electron app, come here, and refresh. And the circle is moving. So everything is wired up correctly. We can send events to the browser source that will update the SVG when you start drawing. Awesome. And then the circle goes away forever into infinity. Cool stuff. Okay, I'm going to commit this experiment. Yeah, looks good. So I said there were 3 parts. The first part was this connection between the browser source and OBS, and that worked. Now let's work on the drawing area. So we will work on the drawing area, then on the connection between the drawing area and the source, the browser source, and then finally we'll use OBS WebSockets to get a hold of whatever is on your preview, whatever is here on your stream. Yeah, so drawing window. Well, we will want a drawing window that is similar to this in spirit, but we will want to have the browser window, the Electron browser window, not to be confused with the OBS browser source. So the Electron browser window needs to be different. It's not transparent. It is not on top of the whole screen. So this part where I have the drawing canvas itself, that logic, a lot of it anyway, will work just fine. But this doesn't work. I could try to start extracting stuff and see if that works, or let me go to the definition of this. This is kind of crazy. Yeah, I guess since this is like an experiment, I'm going to copy and paste a lot, and then we will extract the parts that matter. I'm going to start by copying and pasting this whole thing with both the browser, the drawing canvas, and the menu. Yeah. I guess even these parts. Yep, lots of copy and paste. That's what I'm all about in this channel. Copying and pasting stuff until they behave. The drawing window, that's not really just the drawing window. Now there are potentially multiple drawing windows if you are in different modes of operation. Like there will be a drawing window for when you are drawing on top of your screen. There will be a different drawing window for when you are doing these OBS shenanigans. So I will rename this variable. It's no longer just drawing. It will be like OBS. Yeah, OBS drawing. And we have different windows for the drawing canvas and the menu, because there is this feature when you're drawing on top of your computer screen. There is this feature that allows you to interact with the apps underneath and keep the drawing on top of everything. In other words, I make the drawing window this. I make it click through, which is useful. Maybe you have a diagram on the side, like we had a diagram a couple minutes ago, and you are coding and you want to show things and how they relate to the diagram. So you want the diagram to be on top of the screen even while you are not drawing, when you are interacting with the code underneath. So having that feature is cool, but it requires us to have different windows for the drawing window and the menu, because you cannot make half of a window click through in Electron. I mean, you can, but it's a huge hack. It's much easier to have two windows, one of which is the drawing window. It may be click through, and the other window is the menu, and the menu is never click through. The menu is, yeah, the menu you can always interact with. I think that having a click-through menu would be not intuitive. So that's why we have this as two windows. But now in this other mode of operation, we don't need two windows, because this window will never be clicked through. So we could try to have a single window with just a menu on the left. I don't want it to be draggable. It would just sit on the left at all times. How do I feel about this? Well, I kind of feel good about this. I think it would be easier to use. I mean, we could also have multiple windows, but I find it annoying to have multiple windows like this. GIMP, the image manipulation program, at least by default, has all these floating windows, and I find it very annoying. I always get lost in the windows. So yeah, I guess we'll have a single drawing window, and it will have both the menu as well as the drawing itself. So, and that's nice, because one of the things I want to do with Notestrator in the future is to extract the drawing engine, which is quite unique, and that's why I'm developing a drawing engine. It's unique in that it is based, well, it's super simple, but it is backed by an SVG. It's vector-based. It's not using the canvas HTML element. And it is simple and good enough, and I want to extract it and use it in different places. And the SVG is not only the visual representation, it's also the internal data structure for the drawing itself, which I find unique. There is no other drawing engine that does this, partly because it's a so-called bad idea, but partly because no one did this before, so now I'm doing it. So I would like to have this drawing engine extracted from the rest of the project, and having these two different use cases where the menu is embedded or the menu lives in a different window will force me to have the right abstractions in place, or at least to have some abstractions in place. But right now there will be no abstractions. I will copy and paste the code for the menu in the right place. So let's see what the OBS drawing window will have. Well, it doesn't need to occupy the whole screen. It will not be larger than the screen. Can it be closed? Sure, why not? It can be minimized and maximized. It will act much more like a regular window than my other windows do. It will be movable and resizable. It will have a frame. It will be focusable. It will not be transparent. It will have a shadow. It will have rounded corners. And I want all my Node.js goodies available in there. It doesn't need to be always on top. It doesn't need to be in all workspaces. Then let's see what we need over here. I guess what we need is to have a menu on the left. So the body will have a big div, or no, the body will not have a big div. The body will have a style of display flex, and then we'll have a menu over here, and the SVG will not occupy the whole screen, but it will be flex 1. So it will occupy everything in the window that the menu is not occupying. Actually, I don't want to make the SVG like that, because I will also need the preview below the SVG. So I guess I will have another div that will occupy the whole screen, and I will want to put an image that is your stream, and I will want to put the SVG on top of that. So I want to pile two things on top of one another, and the trick that I usually use for this is to have a display grid and make all the children occupy the grid area 1, 1. So they are all on the same grid area, so they all sit on top of each other. Then let me take this whole shenanigans, also known as the drawing engine for now. We'll copy it over here into this div, but we'll also have an image. So this will be the menu. Oh, I copied into the wrong place. I pasted into the wrong place. This will be the menu. And then we have this div, and I need to paste over here. This is my SVG over here. And I will have an image that will be my OBS source, but for now it will be a kitten. And that will be like Full HD kitten. Alrighty. And let's see what this looks like. I mean, do I even have a window? No. Well, I guess I'll put this part right after everything that is Electron. So we'll have two sides of the app. The Electron side. How do we going to separate this? We could separate it as the Electron side and the Express side, or we could separate it drawing on top of your screen versus drawing on top of an OBS stream. Guess it makes more sense to separate by feature. So this auxiliary function will go at the end. It's auxiliary with respect to the whole app. It doesn't really matter all that much. Now, oh yeah, some things will fail. The menu will fail. Let me comment out the menu for now. Alright, so we have a menu on the left and our drawing canvas on the right. Let's put the real menu there. And this time we don't want it to be a separate window. So all of this is not necessary. And in fact, this whole frame around the thing is not necessary. So we already have... do you want the keyboard shortcuts to work? Yeah. And we also want this trick, which I explained in the previous stream. So we want this trick as well. So let me go to the top, paste this here, and this is our menu. So where I have the menu, I guess the body I will have to copy the styles for. They will live here. Then we just copy a lot of this, but not all of it. Let's see what this looks like, if it even runs. Okay, it runs. It doesn't look too bad. Yeah. Of course, when I try to draw things blow up, because the way that we were communicating the styles or the options, like the color of the stroke, we were communicating that using interprocess communication, but now everything lives in one window, so we don't need interprocess communication. This whole thing that I have below here for interprocess communication just goes away. And this is the ignore mouse events stuff, is to make the window click through. That goes away. Let's see what we have on the menu, because we will need to change some things. We still don't want people to be able to select the text, so that remains. Most of this is okay. Yeah, I guess the thing that we have to change is on the drawing canvas, the way that we get a hold of the state of the menu, because currently the way that we do it is with interprocess communication right here. But now what we want is to just get a hold of the, so what is this again? This is a JSON, this is an object. Yeah, this is an object with the values, so yeah, I guess the way I can do it is I can find the place where I have basically this line. So I can find the place where I'm serializing the form and replace it over here. I guess this already works actually. And when I click and drag, I'm clicking and dragging the cat, but also I'm kind of drawing. And there is another issue, which is the SVG is too small. So we need the SVG to occupy the whole screen. And we are drawing. There you go. We are drawing, but it's too small. We need it to occupy this whole space. Are we able to change colors? And I don't want the cat to be draggable. So yeah, two issues. And I want the cat to be draggable, and I want the SVG to occupy more space. Let's start with the SVG occupying more space. So SVG, we learned in a previous episode that I need to make this SVG, we need to give an explicit size to the SVG. Just make sure that I got this right. Here's what I'm gonna do. First, I'm going to prove that the problem is what I think it is. So I'll put a background color of tomato. You can see that the SVG is not occupying the whole space. And now I will put these lines. And now the SVG occupies the whole space. That's all good. Now, for the cat being draggable, I wonder if there is like a CSS property, CSS prevent dragging. Or I could have a background image. I could have this as a background image. I mean, it is a background image of sorts. That's a better idea. Then of course it will not be selectable. I mean, I guess I could just use this, user select none. But it's more correct, and then I don't have to do all this trick of display grid and everything. Yep, that is better. So I can say that, I guess now the SVG will be yep, that is crazy, but I think it will work. So now I'll have a background image, which is an URL that is this URL for now. I don't need this trick to overlay two things on top of one another, and I don't want this div to happen, so I will remove that, like so. Okay, so the sizes are weird, but that's fine. And I cannot draw. That's not fine. Oh, I can draw, but it's offset. Let's take care of the menu first. When I define the menu over here, the first menu that is, I say that it's 100 pixels wide. So when I use the menu over here, where is it? Yeah, this is our menu. I will say, oh, this WebKit user select none is exactly what I found here, user select none. Awesome. But where was I? Width of 100 pixels. Okay, now it's occupying 100 pixels, but it's not going to the end because my body doesn't occupy the whole screen. So I guess I will position absolute top 0. So the same thing we had with SVG in the other drawing window, we'll have with the body here. So I'll do top, right, bottom, left. Right. And now I can draw, but it's offset. So there is something wrong with the positioning, the mouse stuff on the drawing canvas. Let me see. So I have here X and Y. And I'm looking at event X and event Y in many places, but I know that I also have other events. I also have other coordinates, so I can see offset X and offset Y, for instance. I can try those. So everywhere where I have event X, I will instead have offset X. And if this works, I will do the same for Y. And I don't actually need to do this for Y because the image is sitting right the top of the window, but I will do it for Y just because it is more correct. I guess I would do it globally, actually. Let us all hope that this will work. And it does work. Keyboard shortcuts just work. Awesome. Now, there are two problems we can... I guess I will commit. I have a lot of things going on here. So these changes I just want to keep. It would be nice to take note of the things that I changed in this version. So let's see if I remember everything. I changed the CSS, that's for sure, but that's no big deal. Then I changed how you capture the menu. Didn't change a lot, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, I'm just gonna go with these changes. So here's how this is going to work. I have a crazy idea. I could put a mutation observer on the SVG over here on the drawing window, and the mutation observer will send events to update the browser source. Okay, now time to explain what a mutation observer is. Mutation observer is this new API in the browser. It's relatively recent, and it does just what it says on the tin. Anytime you change the DOM, you get a notification, you get an event. So you can put a mutation observer or something and fire off events off of that. So we don't need to change any of the logic in the drawing itself. Does that work? I don't know, but we'll see. So where is my SVG? This guy. Data on DOM content loaded. If you don't know what this is about, you should go watch my stream yesterday. Basically, it allows me to run some JavaScript when the whole DOM is loaded, but this refers to the SVG itself. Good stuff. And where is this coming from? I wrote it, of course. It is this 5 lines of code. So let me see. Let me go to my SVG. And I don't remember how to use a mutation observer. Example, good. New mutation observer, and I need to pass a callback. So I'll have a function over here, and I want to observe a target node. So I want to observe this, and as for configuration, probably I want some configuration, yes. So let me go to the docs for this and that. What is the callback called with? Well, I don't really need to know what the callback is called with, because I can just use this to get a hold of the whole SVG. So I can do something like, I can send, so I already have in place, I have an IPC renderer available to me over here, so I can IPC renderer. How do I use IPC renderer? I forget. The intent here is that I'm going to send an event to the Electron app so that the Electron app sends an event to the browser source. I don't need to invoke because I don't need any response from this. So I guess I would just say IPC renderer send, and I will send an OBS OBS browser source update event. Yeah. And what is the content? The content is this. So now, anytime you change the DOM, I'm sending the whole SVG over the line. I'm not sending the outer HTML, I'm sending the inner HTML because I don't think that these parts will be relevant on the other window. So I'm sending just the meat of the SVG. Yep. But I think I will need some options. Let me take a look at this MutationObserver callback to see if I am missing something. No. Let's see what the observe options are. Sub 3, optional, set to true, default is false. No, I want sub 3, so and then child list, set to true to monitor the target node. For the addition of new childs, default is false. Well, I want that to be true. I want to listen for new guys getting in there. Attributes, set to true for changes to attributes. I want changes to attributes. There is no chance that this will perform well enough. Attribute filter, no, I want all attributes. Attribute old value, don't need that. Character data, I don't know what that is and I don't need that, and this I don't need as well. So as always, this has a very poor chance of working, but besides the MutationObserver will send this stuff to the Electron app, but it will also say like bananas, just to see if the MutationObserver stuff is working. Yep. Now this is going to send the update event. So over here on the Electron app, we'll need to say IPC main handle, that long name that I forget. Oh, I had it on the clipboard. And is that how you do it? How am I doing it elsewhere? Yeah, that's how you do it. Oh, no. Handle is for when you're using invoke, and on is for when you are using send. So I want on. And of course, when I'm sending this, I am using send because I don't need any answer. So what do I do when I have that? I will check. So if my event source is undefined, don't do anything. But otherwise, I will want to write one of these events. And over here, I guess I need to pick up the argument. So I don't care about the event itself, but I do care about, I'm going to call this a data. And I'm going to send something similar to this. So this is just wiring things together. The drawing canvas sends an event, the Electron part gets the event and fires off an event down to the browser source for OBS. And now I am only sending the meat of the SVG, so I don't want this set interval stuff. But I want to change what happens here. I will not need this circle to begin with, but I don't want to update the body, I want to update the SVG. A JavaScript occurred in the main process. Cannot read property replace of undefined. My data is not coming through. This is not working. So let me look at send. Send takes an event name and a value. This takes an event name and a value. So the send part seems to be correct. Let's see what on does. An event and a value. That is not working. What's going on? Do I have other replaces somewhere? I don't think I do. No, that's the only occurrence of replace. So the data is not arriving. Doesn't seem. Let me console log the data. Undefined. The data is not coming through. Let me go to the Electron docs for IPC, for Interprocess Communication. On event and argument, send name of the event and argument. What am I doing wrong? That is firing a lot of events. That is fine. And my event... Well, I guess I can do something like this. I want to see all the arguments. And the second argument exists and is undefined. Hang on, am I literally passing undefined on the wire? Is that my issue? Let me see. Let me return to this version. And it was a typo. HMTL doesn't exist. HTML. Here we are. I was passing undefined. Now I can draw. And over here, maybe if I refresh? No. Let me go to the browser and test that real quick. See if I have some errors in the console. No errors in the console. I draw something and nothing happens. My SVG is still empty. No, there is some stuff there. Oh, the color of the stroke is a variable, is a CSS variable from my design system. So where I have this, well, hang on, that's not the issue. Yeah, my design system is over here. But I have some strokes. The SVG is not big enough. Where is my lovely SVG? This guy. I will do the position absolute stuff. I will do that to the body though. So do that. No, hang on. Two different things. Position. Yes, that. I want that much on the body, and I want this to have a width of 100% and a height of 100%. This could be a drinking game. Take a shot anytime I don't have the right size on an SVG. So I draw something. Okay, the browser is syncing up with my drawing. And let's see over here in OBS. Yep, I am drawing on top of my OBS stream. Let me commit what I have. MutationObserver. That is the hackiest hack I have ever hacked, I think. But this is a lot of fun. I'm having fun with this. So the last part is we want to connect using OBS WebSockets. We want to connect to OBS and get a hold of the preview. For that, we are going to need a package called OBS WebSockets JS. There are lots of versions of this package. Now, in our browser source, well, yes, on this part, we will want to have a WebSocket, and we will want to connect this is the address. There is no password. And we will want to send no, it's not on this part. We want a preview on the drawing part. Now let me find my SVG, and I will have that MutationObserver. The sad thing is that I want the background to be on the SVG, but the changing the background will trigger the mutation observer. I don't want that. I mean, I'm okay with things being slow, but that is just too much. So I guess I will have a div with a background image and the SVG in there. And I will have the mutation observer on the SVG. Or I could use a filter on the mutation observer. No, I'll have a div. I'll put the SVG in that div. I will say that the div has some of these properties. Flex 1, background image. I don't need width and height on this part, but I do need on this one. I think that this will still look the same. Oh, no, I'm just reinstalling a package. Let's start the app. Yeah, the kitten is in there. I can draw. Hang on. Did this refresh automatically? This is crazy awesome. I love it. So we'll not have a background image to begin with. And we'll have one of these little guys over here where we will set we'll create a function called update that we'll call right away. So I guess it's okay for me to do it like this. And the last thing that the function will do will be a set timeout of maybe 200 milliseconds. Maybe that is too fast. 500 milliseconds, and it will call update again. So I have a function that runs every 500 milliseconds, or actually that runs, and when it finishes running, it will start again 500 milliseconds later. This function will be asynchronous, and what I'll have something like element equals this, because this is a named function, so I don't know what the this in there will look like. And I want the this to be this div. So now I need to send a request to the OBS stuff, and I will await on its response. Let me look at the API. Here protocol take source screenshot. That's the event that I want to send. And as far as arguments, at least embed picture format or save file to path must be specified. Let's see. Source name is optional. Embed picture format. I guess I will want like a PNG. Save file to path. I don't want to save anything. File format. None of that. Compression quality. Compression ratio. I'll not touch this. I'm not gonna touch these either. And response items. Source name, image URI, data image URI. If embed picture format was set. So this will return a preview, and I will say that the element dot style dot background image is equal to an URL. Oh no. That will be the preview dot image. Of course it didn't work first try, but that's okay. Let's start debugging this. I have a couple minutes to finish this. Well, one advantage of this part of the app is that I can open it in the browser when I have the app running. And because I can open it in the browser, I can see the console more easily. So I have the drawing here. Oh, that part I don't see in the browser. So I have to open the console here, which is something I can do. Uncaught error in promise. What? Can I have more information about the error, please? There is no socket connection available. Excuse me? Yes, there is. Connect. Is this not running? It is. It's running import 4444. So it is. It is running, and I'm telling it to connect. Well, let me copy and paste the line. Oh, maybe it's not connected on the first time and then it just blows up and never calls itself again. Maybe that's what this is. So maybe I can check if OBS, and can I see if the thing is connected, or what do I do? Do I await on it being connected? I probably await on it being connected. No, because I'm not in the same flow, so that doesn't make sense. What I will have to do is, over here I'll have to check if I am connected. Yeah, it's probably the first time around that this is not connected. Well, let me see. How can I check if the WebSocket is connected? Well, I could listen for one of these events. Guess I'll do that. Oh, it worked. It worked. I opened the console thinking that it wasn't working, but it is working. I can see the preview. I can move around. Can move around? Yeah. I mean, this is not updating in real time by no means, and it is super high quality, so it is only updating every so often, but I am able to draw. My drawing appears there. So the drawing update is remarkably fast, given that I'm doing the MutationObserver hack. And if I decrease the quality of the preview, I think it will even be good enough for some real-time thing. And of course, there is all the issues of alignment. Yeah, let's restart the app. So if I do a line right here, and I have to refresh, I suppose. Oh no, it's no longer working. Why? Why? No errors over here. My SVG is empty. It's not sending the material over. Why? Now it is. Yeah, you can see that the drawing is out of sync with the source. So maybe if I make the drawing full screen, I mean, I can take the browser source. Take the browser source. And what is my canvas size? Video. So my canvas is full HD. So if I take my browser window, make it full HD as well. Oh, that is not correct. Yeah, that is not correct. But if I draw now, it is in sync. The lines are on top. I mean, they are off by like a couple pixels, but that is completely acceptable. Of course, there are many issues. I still have to rescale things, and this is super high quality, so it doesn't update all that often. Many issues to fix, but I'm going to commit this because I think that our experiment was successful. So cool. And we didn't have time to style the menu, but that's okay. I think we made a lot of progress. Whatever. And with that, we are going to wrap it up for today. See you again back here tomorrow. Tomorrow, I guess I'll go back to styling the menu, or maybe I'll push further this crazy idea that I started. But yeah, thank you all for subscribing to the channel, for being here today, for supporting me on PayPal and Patreon. And I see you all tomorrow at 5:30 UTC for more Notestrator stuff. Bye.